Here we go. We've gone live. I'll let you know. Here we go. We've got our first student on. Hi, Nikki. We're just going to wait for a few more students to join us before we start. It's a bit early. There we go. Getting a few more on. We've got a few students waving their hands at us. Hi, everyone. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes and then we are going to start the presentation. Just some housekeeping rules. I will go over this again, but if you do have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the Q&A section. Nikki says no problem. We'll wait a couple more minutes. All right, Sujitra, I think I'm just going to do my little introduction and then we'll get going with it. And anyone who joins later can, just catch up by asking a question. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nico. I'm the Managing Director of Global Education. We are the local agency for about 200 universities worldwide. And we do the application and visa process to those universities. We help you, in the beginning with the general consultation, help you pick the right universities. Then when you've decided on where you want to apply, we'll help you with that entire application process. Obviously, we advise you beforehand what the grades are in terms of applying and what you need in order to apply. So we will do the initial application process for you. We'll help you secure your accommodation with the university. And then once you've been fully accepted and you've paid your deposits and all of that, we will also assist you with the visa side of things and help you get your student visa so that you can obviously travel to the universities. Tonight, we've got Sujitra from the University of Manitoba in Canada. She's going to be talking about the university and what they have to offer. Before I pass over to Sujitra, just a little bit of housekeeping rules. Please feel free to ask questions either during the presentation or at the end where we'll have a Q&A section. If you ask during the presentation, I'll answer most of the questions in the background. But when we get to the end, I will obviously bring them up again with Sujitra so she can give her perspective from the university side on any of your questions. Cool. So that's everything from our side. Sujitra, I'm going to pass over to you. So I'm just going to stop my screen share. Just give me 2 seconds for this thing to pop up. There we go. And you should be able to share your screen now.
All right. I hope everyone can see and hear me very clearly. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining me today at this Global Education Fair event. Very excited. We have been working with Global Education for a number of years. They're a great partner and they represent university, many universities in Canada, including the University of Manitoba. I'm very excited to be part of this. So I'm just going to get going and get started quickly to tell you about the University of Manitoba. Now, the University of Manitoba is the largest and the first university in Western Canada. We are the largest post-secondary in the province of Manitoba, okay? Now, we're located in the capital city in the province of Manitoba called Winnipeg. As you can see in the map here, we're not in Vancouver, nor we are in Toronto. So we're quite unique. We're located in a central location, and there definitely is benefits of being here, and I'll definitely will talk about that. But quickly to show you a little bit about Winnipeg, it is a medium-sized city, about over 800,000 people living in Winnipeg. It's considered the 8th largest city in Canada. Now, me personally, I moved to Winnipeg since 2006. I love it here because it's a smaller, so when I came from a really big city like Bangkok, Thailand, right? So moving here, I enjoy the pace of life. It's a little less chaotic. No pollution. That's one big thing about, Winnipeg that I really love, and not crazy traffic going on either. So it's a little more smaller, slower pace of life, and I enjoy it very much. But one of the most attractive features that bring people to Winnipeg obviously is cost of accommodation and also the location as well. And I'll tell you more about that. But when you look at this map here, we are considered one of the most cost competitive city across all of the US and Western Canada. So, you know, it's a really, it's a good reason for students to come to study with us just because our cost of living is much less, right? But in addition to that, because of our location, and that's, well, I'll tell you one big thing about company is that, especially in the industry, when you think about distribution, for example, food, you know, we are sort of location, our location is right in the central area. So therefore, there's a lot of company that come and choose Winnipeg and open branches here in our city, just because first, our location, right? Easy west, east, same distance, and also cost of living is less as well. So that's why we are the largest aerospace center in Western Canada. And therefore, those of you who are interested in aerospace engineering, we certainly offer that at the university. Now, when talking about international students coming to, you know, to study in Canada, many of us thinking about not only study, but also you want to stay a little longer, want to work, want to perhaps experience life in a different way. And Manitoba is a great place for it because we have programs that can help international students establish a long-term residency in Canada. For example, the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, that is a great program for students to establish. Maybe perhaps you want to stay longer. And our economy is growing. As I mentioned to you, there's a lot of diversity in our in Winnipeg, and there's, as you can see here, quite a good growth rate, especially in the tech job area. I'll give you an example, Ubisoft. I mean, if you play video games, you might come across this name. They are one of the biggest company that around the world, you know, that deal with video game, and they have their office in Winnipeg. So that go to, you know, to show you that we are a place that a lot of employers choose to stay. Right now, many of us, when talking about Canada, particularly Winnipeg, we actually have been called a nickname Winterpeg, right? Yes, we do have a cold winter, and the temperatures throughout the whole year is ranging from a really hot summer to a really cold winter. Right now, I'll give you an example today. It's 11 o'clock right here, and it's about -11. So that's normal. And as you can see me, like I'm in a house and I don't need to wear a second layer or anything like that. And that's the one best thing about Canada, because winter has become part of our life. So therefore, you know, we're quite familiar with this. So you'll find that the temperature is quite adaptable. You'll be fine, have no problem. Okay, and there's so other wonderful thing about Manitoba that you might want that, you know, bring people here as well. I'm just going to skip over this video real quick and talk now about the University of Manitoba. The image you see right here is our Fort Garry campus. This is where most of our university students start their journey here on this campus. The Fort Garry campus is located about 20 minutes away from downtown Winnipeg. So it's on itself located in a separated, you know, in the residential areas, very safe. You know, you don't have to worry about mingle with downtown people area, things like that. So it has its own, almost like a little university town. On campus, we have over 30,000 students. Of this amount, about roughly 19% are international students. So that ensures you that when you come to university, there's a good mix between domestic students and international students. And the experience you receive here will be a little more sort of authentic, you know. And as I mentioned to you, we are the first university in Western Canada. The university was found in 1877, okay? And the best thing about university is that we are the only medical doctoral in the province of Manitoba. So we do have like hospitals, you know, not on this campus. We also have other campuses as well called Bannatyne campus. And with the Health Science Center, we have it there. University of Manitoba is member of U15, Canada Top 15 Research Intensive University. So I want to talk a little bit about this because it means a lot, okay? Because the first thing it's going to, what it means to students is that professor teaching on our campus are researchers, okay? So that means as a student, you're going to get that firsthand connection to the research world, okay? So that's great, everything. However, having said that, it also means that with the research intensive university like ours, you will have to stand out. You'll have to be quite academically strong to come to us. Okay, we're not one of those university that hand holding you. It's not like that at all. It's pretty competitive and strong, like UBC, University of Toronto, University of Waterloo, things like that. So those of you consider University of Manitoba, I just want to let you know that the getting in is not the most, like the getting in is great, but to complete the program, it's going to require a bit of discipline and a lot of determination. Okay, we have on-campus housing, just so you know. Even with the COVID-19 going on, pandemic going on right now, our residence on campus is still in operation. Those of you interested, like I said, Nicole already mentioned to you that they help you with this as well, but the application is separate from undergrad application, and we highly recommend that you apply and get all of this going early if you're interested in that. Of course, staying on campus is just an option. You don't have to stay on campus. We also have other options available as well, like off campus or homestay, whatever you need. Just want to talk quickly about the student experience. We have, as you can see here, a lot of student group. And this is something I want to highlight because a lot of times students say, well, I want to work. I want to be able to build connection, things like that. And then, I will tell you that one of the secret is when you come and study, you need to build connection and network. And student groups are a really great way to do so. Okay, believe me, it gives you a lot of opportunity to build the connection, and usually it leads to some sort of, perhaps community in the future, or perhaps employment in the future, who knows, right? And we also encourage active living. So, we have a gym. Our gym is called Active Living Center. It's part of a tuition, and that's a great thing because you get to use the facilities and you pay like 1/5 of the full price that normal people would pay. And this also go with the U-Pass as well. I'll talk a little more about that when we get to the tuition and cost. But as I mentioned to you, we are research intensive. So that means a lot of research opportunity in both in the graduate level and in the undergraduate level. We have awards for for undergraduate students to get involved in research. And as you can see here, some of our programs also offer cooperative educations, and these are the people, Ubisoft, Amazon, these are employers that actually come and hire our students, okay? And as you can see, a co-op option is something that available to students when they are already in the program in year 3, perhaps they start, applying for co-op, and they get paid while they're doing a job, and it usually leads to employment after graduation as well. So that's a great options available. Just so you know, these are the list of co-op opportunities. We have in everything agriculture and food sciences, particularly in agriculture and food sciences, because if you know anything about our geography, Winnipeg or Manitoba is actually have a nickname called Prairie Provinces. We are one of the place where there's grow a lot of food. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've ever heard about canola, but canola is actually discovered and developed by the University of Manitoba, actually. So as you can see that this area is really huge, right? And we also have co-op in architecture, arts, business, engineering, environment, earth and resources, and science. And when I say science, anything from computer science, life sciences, lots of stuff. Okay. And in addition to co-op, of course, we have exchange programs and also community service learning that you can, all of these just to help you grow more than just what you learn in the classroom, you see. Now I want to talk quickly about our undergraduate program. The University of Manitoba offer over 100 academic programs. What you see here is actually a list of faculties, okay? The way it works is that you apply into the faculty. In the faculty, you take courses. The courses is what allow you to, lead you down the road to be able to declare the area of specializations. I'll give you an example. If you're interested in computer science, you will most likely end up applying to Faculty of Science first. And in the Faculty of Science, you select the courses that related to computer science, and that will eventually allow you to graduate with a degree in computer science, okay? So you notice that some of these programs here has a maple leaf notes. The maple leaf note faculties are faculties that are only open to Canadian citizen and permanent residents only. So those of you interested in medicine, I just want to let you know that our medicine program is not open to international students. You do have to have a status, whether a Canadian citizen or permanent residency, before you can actually apply to these programs or faculties. Okay, other than that, the rest are open to international students. I also want to talk, we have a little bit of unique, the way of you gaining entry into the university. Okay, so overall, all of these faculty you see here, they all have what we call advanced entry options. That means you will come to your university first year first, and then you apply, right? Or whatever it requires. So it requires 1 or more year of university studies before you can apply. But having said that, some of our program also offer direct entry options that you can apply directly from high school, okay? So this is a list of faculties that allow students to apply directly into the faculties, okay? It includes anything from agriculture and food sciences, art, business, engineering, and including university one as well. So university one is basically, I would like to refer to it as a transition year from high school to help you gain entry into university. And usually students use university one in order to fulfill prerequisite or in order to explore the area of their interest, okay? So U1 is a flexible first year program. It does not add any additional time to your studies. I'll give you an example here. You see in the diagram here in your first year, you could choose to be a direct entry, or you could choose to be a U1. Now, why would you choose U1? U1 would be suitable for a student who interested in exploring more than one program, because in your first year, U1 allow you to pick variety of subjects, okay? Or if you want to fulfill prerequisite in order to apply into advanced entry program that does not have does not have direct entry, so you're going to be able to do that in U1. All right. So now that's quickly about program. I know that you probably have a specific question about specific program you're interested. We can go more in detail about that in the Q&A, but I want to move on and talk about application process real quick. Now, the University of Manitoba have 3 intakes, generally speaking, but I will tell you that majority of our direct entry programs and also advanced have the fall intake. So the fall intake is considered the beginning of the academic year. That's why you're going to have a lot more options in the fall intake. But if the fall intake doesn't work for you, the winter intake, the summer intake, those are available as well, but for a little bit of a limitation. We'll go over that. But anyway, application usually opens in October for direct entry. And for those of you who transfer students, for example, advanced entry program, usually application will start being available on our website right here, umanitoba.ca/apply now in November of the year prior, okay? And the deadline is usually March the 1st for direct entry program. So those of you thinking about applying to start the fall September 2021, this coming September, you want to make sure you get your application in before March the 1st, okay? Make sure you do that. And just quickly to show you that when you submit application deadline means the deadline for you to submit an application. Documentation can be submitted afterward, okay? But there is a deadline for documentation as well, obviously. May the 1st is when we want to see interim or predicted grades. If you are require English proficiency, this is also where you need to kind of get the English proficiency going and submitted by this deadline. And the final official transcript for those of you who submit interim grades or predicted will be required somewhere between July and the 7th. Now, in reality, we know some curriculum, you might not be able to have it submitted in by this time. We can be quite flexible with this as well, okay? Now, I just want to quickly show you that in order to create an application, you need to create an account first. So on our website, umanitoba.ca/apply now, it will allow you to be able to register an account, okay? And we want to make sure that the email address used here is your personal email address. Your first name, last name, birth date should match your official documents, including your passport. Okay, and quickly to show you, once you submit the online application, once the application is activated, you'll be, when you log onto the portal, it will look something like this, right? You'll see that there is a contact us session here. This email address is your direct admission team. And usually you'll see what being required and the deadline to submit as well, things like that, okay? Now let's talk quickly about admission requirements. As I mentioned earlier to you that our intake is between, we have fall, winter, and summer, but general entrance requirements, basically, we look at your highest level of education. You will not be able to opt out, option, things like that. No, we're looking at what you're doing right now, okay? If high school education is your highest level of education, we will require that you will be completing a high school or about to complete high school. And if you are already in university, we will want to use your post-secondary transcript to assess you, okay? And I will tell you upfront that there's no way to opt out of this part to use this part, or vice versa, cannot do that. It's all about eligibility. It's not about option, okay? And again, you can find more information on our website right here, but just for this purpose of the presentation, I'll quickly show you of the direct entry. For example, U1 will be looking at your high school transcript, obviously, and we will, as you can see, we look at specific subjects. For example, for arts, for programs like art and business, they tend to be more specific, okay? But basically in your curriculum, if it's a senior mathematics, senior English, those will be fine, okay? When it's say third and fourth academic subjects, anything in a senior level would do. And the average here is the equivalent. So if your system doesn't have the percentage, our admission team will convert it ourselves, okay? Just so you know. And some of us may require proof of English proficiency. Now, I understand that many of you are from South Africa. If you are citizen of South Africa, you will be qualified for a waiver for English proficiency, and you will not need to submit a proof of English proficiency. Same goal with Zimbabwean people, okay? If you are a citizen of Zimbabwe, you will be waived English proficiency. Okay, so entrance, I just want to talk quickly also about options. Now, many of us will probably most meet the academic requirements and English proficiency, right? So you can apply directly to us, but we also have other options available as well if you don't meet one of, the requirements, okay? Quickly to show you about the cost, these are tuition costs. On average, it will be something around 17,000, okay? But those of you who are interested in science, engineering, things like that, it will be slightly more expensive because our tuition is calculated based on the type and number of courses. So you can expect that the science courses and engineering courses require lab components, require equipment, things like that, so they tend to be more expensive. Okay, and you notice that I don't add the cost of living in here because I mentioned to you that cost of living, living on campus is not mandatory, it's an option. You can absolutely live off campus. Okay, in addition to that, when you apply to the University of Manitoba, many of us asking about financial support as well. We do offer financial support. When you apply at the time of admission, we offer entrance scholarship, but it comes with your undergrad application, and you need to apply before March the 1st. So this is very important, and it's only available for the fall intake for high school applicants. If you're transfer students, we don't have the entrance scholarship, but once you become a U of M student, there are more awards and bursaries that are available on our website that you can find out more. Okay, and that's quickly to show you information about University of Manitoba. I'm now going to, stop share this. Okay, and moving on to the Q&A.
Awesome, thanks, Sujitra. 2 seconds whilst I just go back to our presentation. Just for everyone, just so you know, when it comes to the application process, Global will do that process for you. All our details are here on the screen, so just feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll get the ball rolling on that. Sujitra, I'm just waiting to see if any questions have come through. Nothing yet, but we had a few that we wanted to ask whilst students are in the background typing up some questions. You mentioned obviously networking and giving students the opportunity to work with some high-level industry, companies. Obviously, right now with COVID, I'm assuming it hasn't been business as usual on campus. So for the students that are currently on campus, how is the university helping them with those networks?
Yeah, absolutely. And Nico, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share screen again, because I like the idea of, visual is very important, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and share screen here. And so I just wanted to show you guys that on campus, yes, and you're right, with the COVID pandemic going on right now, things are a little different, right? But the university, our mission is to definitely help student success. So this is just the website you see right here is our U Manitoba website. And here in the student support, if you scroll down, and also just so you guys know, this is where you can find more about financial support as well. But I'm just gonna bring you right here at the career planning website here. You see that there is career fair. So just so you know, right now, even with the pandemic going on right now, our career counseling department is actually running career fairs, and the employers are actually meeting the students actually at this fair, and the hiring and the exploring of careers, all of these are actually still going on. To answer your questions, Nicole, then it is still there, in a different format, but it's definitely the support is definitely there. Also want to show you quickly about co-op information right here as well. Many of us wondering about this. This is also where you can find more about the way things work with our co-op opportunities, okay? And it's divided into faculties, as you can see. So when you click on each of this, it will definitely, get you more information about each program.
That's fantastic. Sujitra, we've got a question here from a student. It's actually a South African student. Obviously, I can answer it myself, but it would be good for you to give your perspective here. The student would like to know, currently I'll be writing my National Senior Certificate, the IEB system, and they want to know, is that enough for them to apply to the university, or do they have to do any other alternative entrance exam?
So the IEB, and Nicole, this is probably where I will need a little bit of your knowledge, because maybe actually, you know what, before we go on and answer this, I wanted to show you guys quickly where to find information about particular curriculum, international curriculum, okay? And I will show you of South Africa currently that we accept. Okay. So at this point, you can see here that for South Africa, we will require a senior national certificate or any of this. Now, the IEB, how is it related to this qualification?
So Sujitra, it's actually just there's two education boards here. There's the government education board and the IEB, which is a private education board. And the IEB is slightly more intensive. So it is a bit harder for students to pass, but the awarding certificate is the same. So the fact that you've written there, Umlazi certificate is enough, answers the question that the matric certificate is enough to apply. They don't have to do any additional testing.
Okay, yeah, so there will be no additional. Now, if that's okay, I wanted to ask, is there any specific, program that you're interested in applying? Because when you click on this, it will actually show you the admission requirements.
Also, we'll see if the student does reply in the Q&A section. Maybe he'll give us an answer. We've got another student asking, do you offer international undergraduate medical degrees at the University of Manitoba? I know you answered that earlier, but you can just let them know that that's only available for Canadians, right?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks, Nadine, for that. Now, a lot of time when students think about career in medicine, okay, many of us thinking about being a doctor only, right? Like, but as I mentioned to you, and I wanted to talk about this because in reality, there's so many careers and opportunities that are actually open to international students, but not like exactly a doctor. For example, biochemistry, we have lots of opportunity. Many of international students end up being a scientist, developing cure for disease. not as a doctor, but as a scientist. And that is absolutely something that international students can do at the university. And who knows, right? 10 years down the road, you might actually become a permanent resident and then kind of convert yourself into a doctor eventually. So I just want to tell you that there's so much more opportunities and options out there. And I want you to be perhaps a little more open-minded about, oh, I don't have to be a doctor right now. And I'm going to be honest with you, medicine at University of Manitoba, it requires you to have your first degree anyway. You can't really apply directly from high school. So a lot of times students would do, come from a different background, especially if you're doing something related to science, related to biochemistry to start with. It's going to lend itself really well for you to transition into that position of being a doctor eventually, right?
Awesome. So the student has come back and said that the South African student who asked the question about the matric entry requirement said that he's or she is interested in commercial law. And would you be able to give them the average entry requirement for that?
Sure. So our law degree is very similar to the medicine, where it does not have direct entry options, so you cannot apply to law directly. So the students will need to probably coming in as a U1 student. And again, I just wanted to make sure you guys understand this. University 1 is not a foundation year. Okay, it's not an addition or anything like that. It's basically allow you to come to your first year. And I want to show you this, okay? It's a first year planning guide, give you an idea of what you're gonna be taking in your first year, right? So law degree is at University of Manitoba is open to international students, and it doesn't have any specific requirements that you need to have, okay? Here, let's see. If you click on law here, there we go. All right. You'll see that it only needs you to do 2 years minimum of studies. There's no specific subjects you need to worry about. But when you apply to law, and there's no prerequisite requirement from high school either, but when you apply to law, you also need to take this LSAT test. Okay, so what that means is when the students come to University 1, they're going to start accumulating this 60 credit hours right away as soon as they start. And in reality, sometimes students will just complete 2 years and apply to law. If they get in, they do 3 more years. So total minimum time to graduate will be 5 years, you see? And admission into law will include the GPA, grade point average of your 60 credit hours and your LSAT. There you go.
So the student would start off in the university year 1 entry point, and then obviously progress.
So that means for students from high school, they will be starting off by applying to University 1, and the admission requirements is this. We want to see that you have English, math, and 2 more academic subjects. We want to see an average minimum of 70% with nothing less than 60%.
Awesome. Thanks, Sujitra. I think that's it so far. Just to ask you a few more questions just from our side. Just some questions that come up quite often with our students. Obviously here in South Africa, sport and Zimbabwe, sport is a big part of the students' lifestyle. And we do get some athletic students. Does the university have any sporting scholarships for high achieving athletes? Do you know?
Yeah, the way it works is that for the athletic awards, usually it's granted by the recommendation of the coach. Okay. So I, again, want to take you, and, I like the idea of showing visually how to get information about that on our website as well, because, this is going to help, right? So it's going to be within, I think it's actually under current students, and it's Bison. Okay, so maybe I'm just gonna do this because I obviously not a sport person myself. So I don't get to come, and there we go. All right, so this is our Bison, gobison.ca, that's the website. The first thing I would actually ask students to do is that they want to contact the coach here. In our Bison, we have a lot of sports that we play here, okay? So you can go to staff directory here and look up coach. These are the type of coaching staff and the sport that the university play. Now, in reality, international students, it's a little hard, like all of this joining sport team, it's like a performance, right? You have to convince the coach that you're worthy and you're good enough for them to recruit you, right? Usually all of this is done in a traditional way in person. So when you are international student living in a different continent, it's a little hard for you to kind of get a hold of the coach and to convince them that you're good enough for them to start recruiting you. So usually what end up with international student is that they would apply, get into university first, and then once they're on campus in person, then they start making connection. And again, like I said, making connection is big, right? So, and that's where they're going to be able to start in, contacting the coach, convince them, and all of these award things like that will usually come after they become a university on campus, students on campus.
Okay, perfect. Sujitra, one last one from me, and then if we don't have any more questions that pop up, I think we'll leave it at that. But one last question from me. You mentioned obviously the amount of students you have on campus. Would you be able to break that down and say how many of those students are international students? Like how international is the University of Manitoba?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we have roughly about 19% international students. So when you calculate that, it's about, I would say 4,000 students right now on campus that are considered international students. But I think the one main thing that people need to understand is that Canada is a country of diversity. So like I am Canadian, and I obviously don't look like a white, white color skin, blue eyes, blonde hair, things like that. So in reality, when students come on campus, they'll see a lot of diversity. There's over 120 countries represented on campus, right? So they're going to be seeing a lot of that. And not only the students, right? Professors, they're also coming from everywhere. And I see it more like opportunities. It's a good thing because when you have professors that also not so-called like, white Canadian themselves, they tend to be a little more, I guess, open-minded, like, it's a culture of diversities, right? So that means acceptance and opportunity for students, international students, it's more recognized, more open. There's not, and I mean, Canada is a country of, like I said, cultural mosaic. So I think we have a rule and regulation that clearly identifying about discriminations, things like that. So that's one of the things why a lot of international people like Canada, because when they come here, there's rules and regulation that in place that can help protect them, And same go with the campus as well. On campus, we also have Indigenous student on campus as well. And that's probably about roughly 2,000 students on campus right now who are identified as Indigenous.
Okay, Sujitra, there's a question from Samantha in our Harare office, and she wants to know what's the stance on post-study work rights for international students?
Okay, so this question is a little tricky because I'm not quite allowed to talk about it because in Canada, okay, sorry. I thought someone was kind of jumping in, but I want to show you though about information that you can find on campus, okay, about this. So international students, right here, okay. So we do have the International Center, okay. And as you can see here, there's information about immigration information, so all of this, including your work permit, you can find information in here, okay? And also we also would like to encourage students to visit the IRCC website to learn more about that. But generally speaking, Canada allows international students to work while they study up to 20 hours a week on or off campus. And once they complete the program, they can apply for postgraduate work permit right here, okay, with a certain condition, but I don't want to get into detail because like I said, I'm technically legally not allowed to talk about this. So I don't want to get myself into trouble, but I just want to show you that there's resources right on our website where you can find more information about working condition, how you would apply for all this permit, things like that. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sujitra. I don't think there's any more questions coming through. So I just want to thank you so much for being part of the Expo webinar. I'm sure all our students found it informative. We've enjoyed having you on, and hopefully the next time it's actually in person here in South Africa, so students and Zimbabwe, so students can actually meet you and get to ask you questions in person. But again, I just want to thank you so much for being part of this, and thank everyone for joining us tonight. And again, if you're interested in applying or you'd like to get the process going, please either contact us or send an email to Sujitra, and we will obviously, start the process. We are going to obviously email all the students who registered for this event. So we will obviously find out or get in touch with you after this. Sujitra, thanks again so much for being part of the Expo.
For sure. I'm just leaving my contact information. Sorry about that.
No problem.
There we go.
We're gonna send it out to all of the students who registered anyway. So we're gonna put you in touch with them.
Perfect. Thanks again, Nico, and thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
No problem. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye.